And we're live. All right. Hey guys, I'm Alexandra Harbushka, founder of Life with Herpes. I'm actually a little warm, but I decided it's fall. So we're doing this. Welcome. If you're just joining, I'm Alexandra. I'm founder of Life with Herpes. I've been talking about herpes publicly since 2017. I was diagnosed with herpes in 2003, HSV1, and in 2011 for genital HSV2. Anyways, so yeah, I've been talking about this not live, but I've been talking about this for almost, well, I've had it for almost 2 decades, and I've been talking about herpes publicly since 2017. So this is your opportunity to ask your questions. This is your opportunity to support other people in the group. If you know anybody that has herpes, if you know anybody that's like, oh my gosh, they need to hear this, if your friend just got diagnosed or whatever, please share this information with them. However you share information, please share this information. That way they can get this information as well. So again, this is your opportunity to ask your questions here on this platform. I will answer them live for you. The last couple of days when I have logged off, I've had like 50 questions I couldn't get to. So, and I apologize for that. There's so many questions and I can't get to them all. All right, so a lot of the questions that you guys have been asking, or what I was talking about earlier today, I just put a video out, was all the different names for herpes. So what happens is a lot of people don't associate that cold sores, fever blisters are all herpes. So people just think like, oh, it's a cold sore. A cold sore is not contagious. It's just, I get it when I'm sick. No, it's actually a virus called herpes. It's HSV, herpes simplex virus, and it can be HSV1 or HSV2. So that can actually be contagious by kissing, by sharing drinks, or doing other things with your mouth down there, and it can spread to your partner's genitals. So that's something to keep in mind. What type do I have? I have HSV1 oral and HSV2 genital. So I have oral herpes, aka cold sores, and I also have genital herpes. 2 out of 3 people have HSV1, aka cold sores, and 1 out of 6 have HSV2. So oral herpes or HSV1 is far, far, far more common than genital herpes, than the actual type. But so many people now are getting genital HSV1. So people are doing things with their mouth that have oral herpes, doing it down there and transmitting it to people with genital, giving them genital HSV1. So it is very common now that is happening. The reason why I believe it's happening, there's no scientific data or scientific research, but we've done a better job generationally preventing transmission to our children. Most of us get it as kids. More people are aware that oral herpes is contagious. We've done a better job of preventing transmission to our kids. If you are at school, you're sent home from school, things like that. So we're not getting it in our youth. We're then getting it later on when people do things down there with their mouths. When dating, what percentage of people rejected you when you told them about it? I don't know a percent, but I would say the people that mattered did not reject me. There was 2 people that were really, really important to me. One was an ex-boyfriend and one is my husband. Obviously my husband's the most important one, but so obviously they didn't reject me, but I would say I was very selective. I used it as a way to get out of sex. Sometimes it didn't work, sometimes it did. There was one guy that I was like kind of into and he wasn't into it. And then there were lots of guys that were like, hey, I don't care, whatever. Didn't mean I slept with them, but there were a lot of guys that didn't care. That's something that's really important about disclosing, is we think that like, if we disclose and we're accepted for it, then we have to sleep with them, and that's not the case. Disclosing means like, we don't have to disclose that we have herpes until we're going to expose that person. So you can go on as many dates as you want. If you're not going to get sexual with them, you don't need to disclose. Once you get to the point of like, you know what, this relationship is really going someplace, I want to go there with them, I want to go to that next level, then that's when you disclose. That can be anything from a very casual thing to a long-term thing. Can a breakout come in the form of bumps that appear like bug bites? It can. So herpes can be a paper cut, it can be one blister, or it can be a cluster of blisters, or it can be a cluster that turns into one blister. So it can kind of look different, but yeah, it can look like bug bites. In fact, the first time I got herpes on my tailbone, I thought that it was a bug bite. I didn't think it was herpes, even though I knew I had herpes. Guys, thank you for the follows. I appreciate that. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were on, but if you have friends that need this, or you know someone that's like they need to hear this information, please feel free to share this with them. It's just a big help. My goal here is to support people. I know when I was first diagnosed, I was alone. I didn't talk about it, and I stayed in a relationship for 2 years that I didn't need to stay in, just because I was so scared and embarrassed and startled and hurt. And I don't want anyone else to feel that way. So anyways, how did I get it? HSV1 I got from a guy I went on a date with. I was 20. I went on a date with him, and he kissed me goodnight at my parents' front door, and he had a cold sore. And I knew, and I was like, ah. Like I backed away, but I got stuck by the door. Like, you know, like, ah. So he kissed me and I got it. HSV2, I was dating someone and we had the talk like, hey, do you have anything? And he's like, no, I don't, of course not. And I had just gotten tested for everything and my test came back negative. And he wasn't tested for herpes, so he didn't know. That's how I got it. I had a boyfriend who had it. I'm 40 years old. You got your first cold sore last week. The Mederma plastic round thing helps. Okay, I've heard of those. Yeah. I'm sorry you got your first cold sore. And so something that's really interesting about it, you specifically said you're 40. You could have gotten this when you were 20. You could have gotten this at 15. You could have gotten this at 35, or you could have gotten this last week. Most incubation periods are 2 to 12 days. So typically with coming into contact with herpes, you will get your first outbreak within the first 2 weeks. However, it doesn't mean that's the case. You can come in contact with it years ago and now just get your first outbreak. That's kind of the weird thing about the herpes virus is you just don't know when you're going to get your first outbreak. So statistically, by the time you're 50, 90% of the population will have been exposed to herpes. So that's something that it's really important, I think, to share, is when we are disclosing or we are dating and we're having the disclosure talk, is if you have somebody that's very standoffish, like, ooh, I want nothing, ew, no, I don't want nothing to do with it, like that type of person, I think that it's a really good opportunity to explain to them that, like, hey, you've already been exposed to this. Whether you have oral herpes, genital herpes, you have been exposed to somebody that has this. It could be your parents, it could be an aunt or uncle, it could be your grandparents, but there is somebody that has this that you love unconditionally and you've been exposed to this. You will continue to be exposed to it. It's just a matter of if you get it is really kind of the way to look at it, in my opinion. Hey, can you please watch my kitten's video? I found him with a broken tail and no mother. That's really sad. Sure. The people who matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. Exactly. I love that phrase. Yeah, the people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. We get rejected for reasons we don't know. People will reject us. It's not the right time in their life. We're too much for them. We're too little for them. We're not the right person for that person. And so we will be rejected. Herpes really has nothing to do with it. If we're rejected up front because we have herpes, I believe it boils down to a few reasons. Number one, the person is just not mature with sex ed or with sexual matter or sexual talk. It's a very immature conversation or thought about it. Number two, the person is absolutely married to a conception that, oh, that's wrong and disgusting. I will never be with somebody like that. Number three, the person's not into you. So if a person falls into one or all three of those categories, they are going to reject you. If a person's going to reject you for having bumps that are annoying, there's far worse things in life than this, and so that's probably a good thing, like you dodged a bullet. How about the oregano? Does that work? So yeah, oregano is, I believe, an antiviral essential oil. I'm not sure exactly all the properties that oregano oil holds, but it is really great for the herpes virus. I like to apply, I don't have it, I decided to sit outside today. I normally sit in my office and do these lives. We have a everyday wellness oil that I like to use. It has tea tree oil, it has lemon, it has other citrus oils in it, and lysine in it. I like to use that and apply that directly to my outbreaks. I do have it linked for you. You can check it out, but it's the everyday wellness oil. It's my favorite. You can use it with or without a herpes outbreak. You can use it even if you don't have herpes. It's just great for any type of wounds that you may have, and it's really great for repairing the skin. You are gorgeous. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'd be afraid the person would get mad I wasted their time. That's their issue, not yours. You are not wasting anybody's time. That person has made his or her decision to spend time with you. You are making that decision to spend time with that person. Dating is learning about a person. You go out, you meet them, you find out things you like and things you don't like. So take out herpes. There's going to be other things that you're like, wow, I really like that about this person, or you know what, I don't like this about that person. You're not wasting their time. A lot of times we feel extremely insecure when we have herpes, that like I am down here and the person that doesn't have herpes is up here. All right, you've had sex and this person has had sex, or you've kissed someone and this person has kissed someone. So why are you bad and this person's not? Because they just didn't get herpes. They didn't do anything right or wrong. It just hasn't potentially popped up in their life. Maybe they won't get it. You never know. But they just haven't. You didn't do anything wrong for having sex. You have cats that have feline herpes? Yeah, a lot. Every living vertebrate has herpes. So no, you can't get cat herpes or dog herpes, or any different mammals can't transmit it. Okay, sorry, I'm just going back through all the questions. It's like luggage, something you never get rid of. Herpes, you're right. You never get rid of it. You will have it for the rest of your life. But you can definitely suppress the outbreaks. Can stress cause an outbreak? Stress is like the #1 cause for outbreaks. I feel so embarrassed, but how do I not feel embarrassed that I have herpes? Everybody has something they're embarrassed about, and most people you're talking to have herpes as well. So, can you pass it on at any time? No. So you can pass it when you're obviously have an active outbreak, or when the virus is shedding. The caveat, the catch, the elephant in the room, whatever you want to say, you don't know when you're shedding. So that's the problem. You don't know when you're shedding. It's asymptomatic majority of the time. I didn't know you could get on other private parts like the mouth and the tailbone. So yeah, you can get herpes orally. It lives in our nerves. So our nerves are like fingers. So like, let's say you have it orally and your nerve runs, like it can kind of run up your lip a little bit. Genitally, yeah, it can go really anywhere in the genital region. It includes your butt, it includes your tailbone, it includes your hip, it includes your inner thighs, it includes below your belly button. So you can get herpes in any of those regions. So that's why a lot of people are like, oh, I have this thing here. They don't associate it with having herpes. I have it currently on my tailbone. It hurts so bad. Yeah, I get it on my tailbone as well. For me, I use, like I was saying, I use the Everyday Wellness Oil or the Rescue Balm, and for me, I don't have pain associated with it. The essential oils are designed to help with the pain, also help with wound repair, and are antiviral and anti-inflammatory. So for me, I actually don't really have a lot of pain anymore. How can you tell when you're shedding? You can't, unfortunately. Shedding is asymptomatic majority of the time. Sometimes you will have like prodrome symptoms. That's tingles, that's itches, that's like maybe feel like a spider's walking on that area. that means you're either getting an outbreak or you are shedding the virus. But most of the time the shedding is asymptomatic. You understand it's a tough thing to explain. The gift my ex has been gifted to me, you take the meds. Yeah, there are antivirals you can take. So that's something you can take to suppress the virus. Should you disclose if you get cold sores? Absolutely. That's something that's not commonly known, because most people don't know that it could be transferred genitally. But yeah, you should disclose about that. What about having a baby? I have a 2-year-old. I had him vaginally. Everything's normal about that. You can absolutely have a baby. You should still disclose if you get any sores and take valcyclovir. Yeah, even though you're on the antiviral, and if you don't get sores, like if you're asymptomatic, you still need to disclose. You share drinks with your kids. I have cold sores. Do they now have herpes? Not necessarily. I share with my husband, my son, my parents. Well, yeah. But anyways, I share with them, and I make that decision knowing that I can potentially transmit it, but I think that it's weird not to share with my family, so I do. But you can if you have an active outbreak, yes. When you're shedding, can you? Yes, you're less likely though. What do you mean to try or give birth? I think that was for somebody else. But yeah, I had a vaginal birth, even though I have genital herpes. Can you easily pass on to others? It is a virus that is contagious. But it is skin to skin, so it's not like airborne, it's skin to skin. My boyfriend has herpes too. How can I help how can I help to get close to him? I don't want him to feel rejected. I would say you just need to feel more comfortable with it. Communicate. The more you communicate with him about it, the more comfortable I think you both will feel. Anything you can do to boost your immune system will also be helpful. And decide what you guys want to do. Do you want to use condoms? What are you guys going to do? As long as you don't share when you have an active cold sore, but try not to. My gyno told me I'm not required to disclose. I was so shocked. That's very interesting. Yeah, you should definitely disclose. Should you still disclose if you don't get sores and take valcyclovir daily? Yes. Most tell you not to because it's so common, which is weird. Yeah, most people, that's weird. Most people there are people that feel like, hey, everyone has cold sores, like why disclose? But it can be transferred genitally. That's weird. I would in case you come back and say, yeah. Terry Warren at Westover Heights, HSVs, you only transmitted from skin to skin. Yes, she's also a great resource. Can you pass it? Can you easily pass it to others? It's skin to skin transmission. To be honest, I'm glad I got told I was exposed and learned so much and didn't scare me anymore. Yeah, being aware is important. Does A and D work for your itching? I don't know what A and D is. Wait, genital herpes 1 looks like little bugs bites? It can. Yeah, it definitely can. Definitely, I got it from someone who didn't let me know, so I would never do that. How can you know when you shed and can infect someone? Unfortunately, you don't know when they're shedding. It's asymptomatic, so there really is no way to know. Can you only use antivirals and still not give it to your partner? So antivirals are the best way to prevent transmission to a partner, and also with condoms, that is going to be the best way to prevent transmission. Also, taking lysine is very helpful. Lysine is an essential amino acid. It's a protein that helps prevent the replication of the herpes virus. So taking that can be extremely helpful as well. It's more natural, but that can be helpful in preventing transmission to a partner. I have the lysine I personally use that I have found the most ethical and efficacy, and I love the company. So it's Natural Cure Labs, and I have it linked for you. You just got diagnosed 2 weeks ago. You're struggling and feeling completely hopeless for my future. don't feel hopeless. You're doing the best thing you can do when you're first diagnosed is educate yourself, which is what you're doing right here. And you can also find a community. So find a community of people that you feel support you, and you can support them, and surround yourself with people that understand. It could be a support system that you have of friends and family, or it can be finding an online community like I have here, Life with Herpes. Regardless, it's going to be the best thing to support yourself on this journey. Yeah, you said you're so mad when you found out you had herpes. Yeah, understandably. It's something that can be absolutely frustrating, especially if your partner knew. Lysine helps with preventing outbreaks. It does. It does. What percent does antiviral decrease passing it on? It decreases transmission by 48%. I personally love lysine. Sorry, I'm scrolling up because I had a lot of questions. I hope I'm getting to them all. Herpes is a deal breaker for you, or herpes is a disclosing, not disclosing herpes is a deal breaker. I think that having the discussion is something that needs to happen. It just shows that your integrity in the relationship with that person. In my opinion, the truth always comes out, and so it's important to have that conversation. Do all flare-up pimples result in sores? Some can be more like a paper cut. Does the blue pill work? So that's the Valtrex, valacyclovir, or acyclovir is the herpes antiviral. Yeah, it works really well. It helps keep the virus dormant in our bodies. That's great. I like how you said there's lots of different deal breakers for lots of different people. You could have kids, debt, smokers, weight, height, etc. I think that's a really important thing to remember. Like, everyone has a different deal breaker, and I don't think herpes should be an end-all deal breaker. I think it should be something that you discuss and learn and decide if it's something you want to take the risk on. That seems to be my problem lately. I've had 3 outbreaks from time to time, was diagnosed last year. So just by taking lysine, it's going to be a big help. What are the signs? It can be itchy, tingly. You can have swollen lymph nodes. You can be really exhausted. And then, like I said, it can look like a paper cut, or it can be like a little blister. Guys, thank you so much for the follows. I see that you guys are following, and I appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. And if you know someone that needs to hear this, please don't hesitate to pass it on. Any skin contact, correct? It's skin to skin. Typically, the herpes virus prefers the oral and genital region. If you give it a location on other parts of your body that has a cut, then you can potentially give it there. Oh, you get it on your lower back? So yeah, it must have traveled there. How do you prevent giving it to your partner? I would say the best thing to do is communicate. The next best thing would be take the antiviral and using condoms if you want. You don't have to take the antiviral. You don't have to use condoms. Taking lysine is going to be really helpful. That's the most natural way to prevent transmission. Herpes isn't common on your tongue. That's typically a canker sore, which is not a viral infection. It's not contagious. What are my recommendations besides antivirals? Lysine and also monolaurin. Monolaurin is a lauric acid that helps disrupt the outer lipid of an enveloped virus. So the enveloped virus has a fatty lipid around it, has a fatty shell around it, and monolaurin, aka lauric acid, goes in and disrupts that so that our immune system can go in and penetrate it and fight it. So it can fight any enveloped virus, whatever comes into our body, it can fight it, which in turn helps boost our immune system. You're welcome, Francesca. I don't know why my OB-GYN told me the cause of my miscarriage was my first outbreak. That I don't know. Herpes does not cause miscarriages. It could be the stress on your body, but it should not be the cause of a miscarriage. Should you disclose if you have no symptoms at all? Absolutely. Men will never disclose, only women. I disagree. I think that there's a lot of honest men out there that do disclose. You're welcome. All right, guys. I hope I've gotten to all your questions. Do I think there will most natural way is to stop sleeping around? All right, I'm going to answer that right now. And being promiscuous has nothing to do with herpes. 2 out of 3 people have HSV1 and 1 out of 6 have HSV2. So that is about 80% of the population has herpes. You can be in a monogamous relationship your entire life and still get herpes. So it has nothing to do with sleeping around. Some people are more promiscuous than others, and that's fine, and that's their choice. It doesn't mean they're going to get herpes. There's other people that are in monogamous relationships and get herpes. So it really doesn't mean that being promiscuous is going to cause that. I just wanted to address that because that is the stigma. That is what makes people feel so disgusting, is when they're like, stop sleeping around. It may have had nothing to do with this. So I hope I educated the person that wrote that. I really hope I educated you on that. And then seeing here, like, people are saying I got it from their ex-husband. Yeah, there's people, you just don't know you have it. You can get it, people can have cold sores, which is the okay herpes because it's not sexually transmitted, supposedly, even though it is. And you can be in a monogamous relationship and get it that way. I talked to a woman in her 80s who had been a widow for 15 years and ended up with her first outbreak. And she's like, I've only slept with my husband. How did I get this? She didn't sleep around and she got it. So it has nothing to do with that. All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. I love the hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, I'm going to just disregard you for saying to stop sleeping around. All right, have a good day, you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.